What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. Design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I feel well, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming down. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. No wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. The things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. Well, we made it to another Thursday, which is kind of Friday. I guess now it's half a Friday since I'll be doing a little bit tomorrow. So I guess it's not really a Friday for me anymore. I will. I haven't put up a video yet. I will put up the video for tomorrow. The link and all of that for. I don't know how to do the video. I really don't know. How to do the. I want to make a cool video for you, but I don't know how to do it because I'm like only one man, and I don't know. I might have to have Jen hop on my computer and see if we can somehow figure out some voodoo magic to be able to get her to log in on my computer, because I don't know. I can click sign out, and when I click sign in, it's my account. There is no switching accounts, so I haven't found a way anyway. I can log out, but when I go to click in, it don't give me the choice to put in anything at all. It's just boom, I'm in. So I just wanted to make kind of a cool video, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So I will get a video, cool or otherwise, out tomorrow with the link to get in there. It's going to be at 3 p.m. In fact, I can give the link right now. Let me, I can give you the link now. It's all good to go. The meeting's all set up. It's connected. I don't, I'm not organized enough to use like calendars and stuff. However, it is most certainly connected to the Google Calendar. So, whatever the hell all that entails. Well, there you go. That is the link for the meeting tomorrow. You do not have to have virtual reality in order to VR headset in order to participate. You just gotta have a tablet, a phone, a computer, whatever. It does have to at least be able to pick up on a mic input, otherwise it'll give you an error. But you don't have to use your mic, you don't have to speak. And I would bet you that if you didn't want to use a mic and you've got one that unplugs, you plug it in, get it to let you in, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts that you can unplug it and it'll work just fine. So it just has to, it's that's what it is. It's a VR chat, so they're thinking that at least you're gonna have a microphone in the very least. So and that's all. You don't have to participate in that manner. You don't have to speak or anything like that. You can just keep muted, and I don't know how. I'm going to be attending a meeting tomorrow before our show. Tomorrow morning I'll be attending a meeting, and I'm going to learn how to get this all set up. But ideally, if I can get it to do it, what I want to do is get it set up so that when it kicks off, everybody's just like automatically muted. Except for myself, and then I'll start the show, I'll run through the headlines and stuff like that, and then I'll just open everything up for discussion. So, we'll see. I don't even know if I can do that. So, I'll find out tomorrow. I've messed around with a little bit of it. I've got some interior decorating I've done. Yeah, all you can do is you can put your logo on the wall, and there's a couple of posters you can, that you can upload pictures for. That's my decorating. Anyway, I do hope to see people there. I can host up to 50 participants, so that's not bad. And if it's just something that winds up going stupid, I don't know that I expected it to do that. But if it is something that does kick off, then I can actually get a Zoom account. But it's got to be their pay plan. It was called Pro something, I think. Anyway, with that, I could have 1,000 participants. I don't think we'll ever need that. 50 participants is going to probably be like herding cats. So, we'll see. We will see. Anywho, you've got the link. That's where we will be. 3 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, and I've got listed until 4. I had to put in a time, so whatever. However, whatever, doesn't really matter. I did do some testing today to make sure that, if I put up a video, that you indeed hear the video, and you do. So, that's a very, very good thing. Got that all squared away. I think we're ready. So anywho, aside from all that, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. I can't wait. Aside from all of that, what was I thinking? I never know what I'm thinking. Oh, yeah. Things are getting a little stupid again as far as Russia's concerned. And I'll just say this. Make sure your ducks are in a row. You've got some time, I think. Don't be cursing me if I'm wrong. But I think we've got a little bit of time. But I think that window of opportunity is slamming shut pretty damn quick. At some point, Putin's not going to be bluffing. And I don't necessarily think he's been bluffing at any point. He's never made the stand quite this firm as for the use case for nuclear weapons. He's talked about it. He's hinted at red lines. But now I think they pretty well drew it. I have a hard time not going back and thinking about the John Teeter story and his claims. It's like I don't have a choice. I keep getting pulled back to that. I think it's because there are so many key things that he spoke about that, wow, I mean, it's pretty impressive. And so it's really hard for me to throw 100% of the John Teeter story to the wayside because there's just too many. There's just too many things that it's right about. And one of the things is, one of the questions was asked about because there's, in his story, there's a nuclear conflict. And somebody had asked him, what happened? I mean, did we know it was coming? Or, I mean, how did that happen? And his response was something to the effect of, everybody knew it was coming. It was not something that was just spur of the moment. Everybody knew it was coming. So I look at that, and I think about not only the headline from today, but just the way this entire conflict's been going. And I've been watching for that. I've been watching for that moment that I thought might be a defining moment that this would go nuclear. I think we are standing in front of a pretty fair chance for that. Now, I'm not saying that Russia's going to put an all-out strike on the United States, or I'm not saying the United States is going to strike Russia. But I've got the sneaky suspicion that a tactical nuclear weapon is going to wind up being used in Ukraine. Now, when I say that, I am also not necessarily pointing a finger at who it is that deployed it. Let's not forget about the Gulf of Tonkin. Not forget about 9/11. The cases go on and on and on. They're not beyond doing things like that. But I do think that Putin is serious when it comes to this message about the treating F-16s in Ukraine as a nuclear threat, and I understand why. And it's not just because the aircraft is capable of carrying a nuclear weapon. It's not just because of that. You ever flown an F-16? I'm joking, of course. If Fire Marshal Bill's in here, he can say he has. I've flown F-16s with him. Not, of course, in real life. But mind you, it is a simulator. And I haven't toyed with the configuration files. They're all stock, so believe me, that's a thing that I used to do. I started out when this sim came out doing it a little bit, but I haven't needed to, man. It's awesome. I don't want to. It's so awesome as it is. Anyway, they scoot. F-16s are fast. And while they're not necessarily stealth, they're not super duper detectable. I mean, Russia see them coming. There's no doubt about that. But those aircraft, for their speed, also have just an absolutely mind-blowing amount of maneuverability. An F-16 can dogfight like a mother. And if you know what you're doing as a pilot, I'm telling you, because I've had people do it to me, I've done it to people. If you take an aircraft like, say, the F-16 or even the F-18 up against something like a 5th gen, kind of like an F-22, it's not very hard to get that F-22 pilot to stall that thing straight into the ground. You just have to understand what that aircraft can't do, and then get the other person to be foolish enough to try it. It's called dogfighting. It's changed a lot over the years. They didn't always do ballet in the sky like they are capable of today. But they've done a lot of advancements with that F-16. They've completely gone through on the flight control systems. It's got similar capabilities as far as the flight control systems as, say, the F-22, or how the F-18 is now set up, and I do believe even the F-15, if I'm not mistaken, is also all fly-by-wire, computer-aided not avionics, but controls. It's incredible. Because of the capabilities all around about that F-16 aircraft, that's a badass plane, I'm telling you. That's a threat. That is absolutely, most certainly a threat. And I think Putin would rather nip that in the bud. Because I absolutely do think that, I'm not saying it would start out with Ukraine going in and nuking Moscow. But I do think there would be cross-border strikes, without a doubt. And I think before all said and done, if it continued long enough, Ukraine might try, and I say that with quotes, Ukraine might try to go sneak the boogeyman into Moscow. It's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. use this time wisely. Again, I'm not trying to tell anybody something's going to happen. But there's, bullshit red lines and, red lines, lines in the sand, what have you. And then there's serious ones. And I think they're getting pretty serious. I can actually see the reasoning as to why on the Russian side they would be willing so quickly to escalate it to that level. Because that is indeed the threat at that moment that they themselves face by Ukraine putting F-16s on the game board. So just, do the things, but keep the idea of time in mind. I don't really have anything extra special. I figure we'll just go on into the news. We'll get it ripped off like a Band-Aid because, hey, I'll be doing more stuff tomorrow at 3 p.m. So, ow. Alrighty. Bring you along for the ride. This is the cool thing about that other stuff with doing it in VR. It's like there's a board on the wall, right? And I can put my desktop monitor, screen, whatever you want to call it. I can put it up on the screen. I can draw. I can do all kinds of stuff. I can put pictures up there, like I say, play video, stuff like that, anything like that, in a much better way than what I can here. And I don't know, maybe I'll have to check it out and see if, maybe I can play some good tunes or whatever. Not necessarily that would be something I would be doing all the time, but I just want to see if they flick me in the head or something for playing something copyrighted. So, just curious. Gotta poke it and see. So I'm gonna poke it and see, and see what happens. Of course, before I poke it and see, maybe I ought to ask the fellows in the meeting tomorrow. Nah, let's poke it and see. That would be much more fun. Anyway. Switch on over here. Kind of vape. This damn thing. I'm on my last tank, so that means tomorrow I'll be changing flavors and clearing everything out, and it'll be back up to par again.
Oh, yeah.
I felt it kicking in the protection that time. Anywho, Russia will treat F-16s in Ukraine as nuclear threat, says Lavrov. Says here Moscow can't ignore the nuclear capability of the U.S.-designed F-16 fighter jets that may be supplied to Ukraine by its Western backers, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said. By continuing to provide... Do you mind? She's over there snoring. I'm sure you guys can't hear her, but I just had to mess with her. She is out like a light. Anyway, let me continue on. By continuing to provide more sophisticated arms to Kiev, the U.S. and its NATO satellites create the risk of a direct armed confrontation with Russia, and this may lead to catastrophic consequences, Lavrov warned in his interview with Lenta RU on Wednesday. The plans to supply F-16s to Kiev is yet another example. pardon me, let's see, of an escalatory move by the West, and in itself is an extremely dangerous development, he stated. We have informed the nuclear powers, the U.S., U.K., and France, that Russia can't ignore the ability of these aircraft to carry nuclear weapons, the foreign minister continued. No assurances by the West will help here, he warned. In the midst of fighting, the Russian military isn't going to investigate whether any specific jet is equipped to deliver nuclear weapons or not, he added. And I would tell you, one place you can go and get a lot of information on this, and I'll put the link to this in the show. Let me go there. And it is going to come up, as you see, in Russian. Or Greek. Greek, I believe. Is it? Or is it Russian? Hang on. I'm a tard. Greek. It's Greek. I don't know Greek or Russian, so... let's see. So I just, do the old right... Well, I could have did it up there, or I do the old right click and click translate to English, and what do you know? I do know multiple languages. It's called the translate to English option. So, and you just... I'm not telling you to do this. Let me get the link. If YouTube will allow me to post the link, I don't know 100% sure they will, but that is it. I think it posted. Yep, it's over on Jen's computer. So, that is the link to this website. Like I say, unless you know Greek, you might want to translate it or look at the pictures, however you choose. But there are videos. There's somewhere down here that I had watched. I didn't enjoy it right here. Ukrainians jump into trapped Russian trenches, then are hit by artillery. That's some brutal stuff. It's not going well for Ukraine. Not even a little bit. Not even the tiniest little bit. And that's what really concerns me, because NATO is, well, let me rephrase that. The United States and the military-industrial complex are absolutely adamant about taking this as far as that they can. I don't make sense of it. I really can't make sense of it. I know we're supposed to look at Russia as being the bad guy and the provocateur. Well, they invaded Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, I can't just sit there and ignore absolutely everything that the United States has been doing forever. And I refuse to ignore it. I think it's probably a good idea just to be ready. Because none of us know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Just like none of us know what's really happening. All we can do is all we can do is just try to continue to be ready. Watch these things the best that we can. Discern, because there's a lot of people that are out there pushing all kinds of theories and this and that, and the whole EMP thing starting to make its round again, people talking about it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty confident that an EMP is unlikely. Why? Because that involves using a nuclear device over a nation. And that in itself is enough to pull out all the stops. I don't think any nation, including North Korea, would try to pull that one off. I really don't. I think that before anything, if they were, say, wanting to take out our grid, that they would do so through cyber means. If not through cyber means, I think it would be with a coordinated attack on the power grid, multiple locations at the same time. Tactical, and I say tactical, I don't mean it as in Alpha Bravo 6-9er. No, I don't mean that way. I'm talking about there are particular ones that you could take out, and if enough of these important ones were taken out, it would cause the entire grid across the country to go out, except I think possibly for the exception of Texas. Maybe, if I'm correct with that, I think Texas might be able to survive that because of I think their grid is like independent, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think something of that would happen much sooner. And I do see that as I do see the going after the grid as a very, very big possibility. Because that's all a nation would have to do. And yeah, absolutely, Hexapoose. Without a doubt. That's all they got to do is take our grid down, folks. If they can take our grid down in a serious way so that it stays down for any length of time, the aftermath is just going to be insane. The studies have said 90% of the people would die or so within the first year. Honestly, that depends on us. How willing are you as an individual to do for another? That's what it comes down to. I'm not kidding in the least bit when I talk about the gasifier and how many lives that it could save. Especially if people got on it now while they've got time and get these units built. It's not that hard, folks. And if you run into issues, tell me. Seriously. I'll probably have you make a video of showing me a particular thing at a particular time as you do something, and I can probably help you get it going. And even if you can get one going good enough to run a generator, that's going to give somebody else that's a little better at that stuff all they need to know to make it better, to be able to retrofit it on that tractor. That's all it takes. We can save a lot of people. Or not. Talk about building that wall. Boy, I'd love to build a wall. Give me about 15-mile radius around this town. Build me a wall. Let the world burn. But I've got enough common sense to know that if you can get that machinery back moving again in an expedient manner, as far as the things that it takes to survive, like food, as long as you've got the seeds and you've got what you need to get that harvest in, you're going to be good to go. Going to be good to go. Oh, it's going to take a little longer because gasifier-powered engines don't quite have the same amount of power and stuff like that as a diesel or the gasoline counterpart. So you do have that. You're going to be a little slower. But you're going to get the job done. Or you could be like all these pepper content creators out there and go, oh, dumbass, you don't know nothing. And then lead their people right off that cliff when they run out of food. I'm not going to be nice about it because we're talking about human life. That we have the capability to save in mass amounts. All we got to do is take the responsibility. Anyway, I'll get off that because I'll get on that soapbox and I'll never get off that soapbox because it's mind-blowing to me. Why that's so lost on folks. I don't get it. Anywho, howdy, Steve. Let's see. Russia won't give up, says Putin. The West had hoped to force Russia into submission by restricting its access to technology, but this is not going to happen, President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday. Our opponents expected that we would retreat or surrender, but this will not happen, as we often say in such cases, he said at a future technology forum event in Moscow. Russia will only advance on a path of its own while not isolating from anyone, Putin added. To external pressure, we will respond only by improving the quality and efficiency of work and spreading freedom. Huh. Interesting. It seems like I've heard another country make claims like that. The technology embargo imposed by the West in 2022 was an attempt to force Russia to give up sovereignty and the ability to chart its own historical path, the president explained. Moscow responded in the same way that it had in 2014 when the first wave of sanctions became an incentive for the rapid development of domestic capabilities. The same positive processes that happened with Russian agriculture are now happening with manufacturing and technology, he added. The Future Technology Forum, dubbed Quantum World, Computing and Communications, began on July 9th and will conclude on Friday. The exhibit portion of the event, which is open to the public, began on Thursday and features high-tech products from major Russian enterprises, ranging from nuclear giant Rosatom to Sberbank. I don't know for sure if that's how that's pronounced, but that's how we'll say it. Is this done breaking news, by the way? That banner drives me up a wall. No, apparently not. And they've been doing that lately, by the way. They've had a breaking headline, and they, leave it up for hours, and they normally don't do that. Oh, man. Let's see. There we go. And I figured this was the case. U.S. cluster bombs already in Ukraine, says military. They've probably been there. Kiev has already received cluster munitions promised by the U.S., a Ukrainian journal has told CNN. Washington has attempted to justify the delivery of the controversial arms by claiming that Ukraine would minimize the long-term threat to civilians when using them. We just got them. We haven't used them yet, but they can radically change the battlefield, Brigadier General Alexander Tanarvsky told the U.S. News Network on Thursday. He added that he expects Ukrainian troops to push Russian forces back from their defensive positions thanks to the delivery. Cluster bombs discharge dozens of submunitions over a large area. Some of the bomblets fail to detonate and can maim or kill years after their deployment over 100 nations. Well, I've already told you about all that several times. Just goes on and on and on. I'm telling you, they've had them. They are probably putting them out right now. Because unless you're a complete idiot, and while I understand your argument for that when it comes to our administration, and I concur, I don't think necessarily the Pentagon is quite that idiotic. And so they're not going to say, okay, next week on Tuesday around 4 p.m., and this grid, and this grid, we're going to deploy the cluster bombs. You okay with that, Putin? I don't think that's how that works. And so if they're talking about it publicly now, here, I'm telling you, they're putting them puppies out right now. EU could loosen Russia sanctions, says Reuters. Well, yeah, they could, but will they? Well, we'll see. The European Union is considering reconnecting a sanctioned Russian bank to the SWIFT global financial network in a bid to rescue the Black Sea grain deal, Reuters reported on Thursday, citing sources. See, this is the thing. The EU and the UK are both suffering because of all of this that's going on. Not just suffering because of the money and the equipment and all that they're just sending to get the shit blown out of, but also because they don't have the support of Russia anymore. And even if they wanted to, there's so many sanctions that would be preventing it, that's made life very hard for all of them. Most of them. And so I think you're going to continue to see a backsliding on some of these sanctions and policies. Because these nations have to survive. So I think this is just the beginning. But people familiar with the discussion said the bloc could reconnect a subsidiary of Rosalkazbank, a major Russian agricultural lender, specifically to allow for grain and fertilizer transactions. According to reports, the plan was proposed by Moscow through UN-brokered negotiations. Rosalkazbank was cut off from SWIFT amid Ukraine-related Western sanctions against Russia. The lender's reconnection has been among Moscow's conditions to extend the deal for exporting Ukrainian and Russian grain, formerly known as the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The arrangement was initially mediated by the UN and Turkey and signed in July 2022, but is due to expire on July 18th, 5 days away. Moscow said last week that it saw no grounds to prolong the agreement, as the agreed goals of steering grain towards poor nations and unblocking Russian grain exports had not been met. Sources also told Reuters that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had proposed to Russian President Vladimir Putin that Moscow agree to extend the grain deal in exchange for partial access to SWIFT. Guterres reported, suggesting that Moscow prolong the agreement for several months to give Brussels time to connect the Razalkaz bank subsidiary to the payment system. And again, I think you're going to see things kind of step back a little bit by a lot of different nations. Man. Howdy, dear. Oh, man. Fun times. Fun times. Okay. So, enough with all that stuff. Let's get to the important news. Because this stuff, war, nuclear annihilation, I mean, just, I don't know, seems like peanuts to me. The U.S. State Department removed the word country from Taiwan travel notice, says media. And that's not necessarily the headline I'm talking about, but we'll get there. This is just essentially, and I'm not even going to waste my time reading it, it's just essentially the United States, like on their website, had changed the term country to replaced it with a link to the section now called Taiwan International Travel Information is what they did change it to, but it did use the word country before, and that's what they got rid of. So I look at that, and I don't know if that's telling me something behind closed doors kind of thing. I think it is. But when I stop and I take a look at everything that's going on, because there's something that's going on that I don't really talk about, but it is one of the largest threats that we actually face. And no, I don't discuss it very often. I discuss aspects of it, but I don't discuss it really much at all. And I'm talking about the whole ESG thing. It's not a topic I discuss. You guys know about it, right? This whole bullshit excuse about doing this, that, and the other thing for awareness. You guys know about ESG. You know what ESG is. You know it's coming at us like a freight train. But the part of it all that I want to point out to you is the fact that China's already frickin' doing it. So I have to ask the question, who's bowing to who? And I'll let you simmer on that, because I don't have a good, clear answer. But I assume if there's a nation that's currently doing the very thing that they're trying to steer us into doing, something tells me that if we're not following them, we're following somebody else that's following them. And either way, doesn't spell good news for us. So, put that in your noggin and chew on it a little bit. No matter where you slice this, folks, there's a storm coming. That's the thing that people need to understand. All of this stuff, 100% of it, could simmer down. Russia, Ukraine, U.S., and Taiwan, or China, everything, all of that could simmer down. Simmer down now. We ain't changing pole shift. We're not steering out of that one. I'm telling you. The storm's coming. And I would recommend people prepare their asses off. But try to prepare in a manner in which fits the time you're in. In other words, if there's things you still need to get that would fit better for this time right now, possible possible conflict here on our soil, possible good down, take those types of possibilities and work towards those, but don't ever take pole shift out of your mind, because it's coming. As I've said before, you're not underground, good luck. Good luck. I hope you happen to be in a Great Pyramid, because there's not a whole hell of a lot of other things that survive it. Kind of the whole purpose for them. Anywho, I know the tinfoil just got real tight there, didn't it? No, it didn't. Science, yo. Science. White House ends cocaine probe. Well, they didn't ask me first, sons of bitches. Nor did they ask me my opinion on the potency. And that's bullshit. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Don't worry. Hunter didn't do it. You know why I say Hunter didn't do it? Because they couldn't find any prints or DNA or anything on that baggie. Ain't that the damnedest thing? Right? Because you can literally take your thumb and your index finger, and you could pick up that baggie with two frickin' fingers, and you could even rub it around to make sure you smeared the fingerprint really good. Right? Wouldn't frickin' matter, because you'd still left your DNA on that damn baggie. So, on a baggie, a fingerprint being unreadable, or a bunch of fingerprints unreadable, that's very possible. Very, very possible. But no DNA? Now you're bullshitting me. So whoever had that bag from the get-go, whoever took that frickin' bag out of the damn baggie box and put what I'm sure they thought was just sugar in the baggie, they would have had to have had gloves on the entire time from A to Z. Now how do you know that's not the case? Because let me tell you what. If they got a baggie in there, well, absolutely no trace of DNA, or no way at all to identify it. These Democrats would be hell-bent to hang somebody for trying to frame them. Do you see that happening? I don't see that happening. So it's just a snort it and forget it kind of thing, I guess. They probably gave it back to Hunter. Here, dumbass, don't do that again. I honestly wouldn't doubt it. We've got a screwed up leadership, and it doesn't stop with the administration. It doesn't stop even at the elected officials, because it goes in further into the agencies that have been giving these powers that the Constitution promised they could never have. And it doesn't stop there either. Nope. Not at all. In fact, if it's associated with the government, it doesn't stop. Even for the government employee janitor that's stealing toilet paper and paper towels and toilet bowl cleaner and all that and taking it home. That's still stealing. And yeah, that stuff happens a lot. Anyway. I used to know a dude. Actually, I've known several dudes. Not all dudes, by the way. That seems to be a popular thing among government employees. It's like a whatever you need buffet. To some extent. I mean, come on. Let's see. Alright. Got some headlines. Gonna start out with a banger. I don't know. This is kind of freaky, man. There was a severed finger mailed to Macron's residence, says media. The thing I want to know, and no, I didn't read the article, but the thing I want to know, was it the middle finger? Did somebody actually give him the middle finger? I mean, don't you think that's an important thing to consider for the motive? Chinese firm beats Musk in space rocket race. Pakistan repels assault on army base. Israeli, wow, I can't even say it. Israeli settlers charged with terrorism. France counts economic cost of violent riots. Russia becomes top market for Chinese cars, says Bloomberg. Precarious situation at Europe's largest nuclear plant, says IAEA. Wait a minute. Hang on. I missed that one and I apologize. Situation at Zaporozhye nuclear power plant remains very precarious, with inspectors reporting a series of explosions in the past few days. Wow, I'm glad that I saw that going through there. Let's see, the International Atomic Energy Agency, has said the facility is the largest of its kind in Europe and is located close to the front line of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. In its latest update on Ukraine, issued on Wednesday, the IAEA detailed the activities of its personnel at the Russia-controlled facility. The blast heard by the monitors occurred some distance away at different times. The site itself was not impacted. However, IAEA staff say they have not seen any mines or explosives at the Zaporozhye plant, contrary to Ukrainian claims that the facility had been mined. They are yet to gain access to the roofs of two reactor buildings where Kiev previously claimed explosives had been placed by the Russian military. Moscow has denied such allegations and accused Kiev of laying the groundwork for false flag operation targeting the location which both Russia and Ukraine view as their own. The IAEA is also monitoring the availability of water following last month's destruction of the Kakhovka Dam, a major disaster that Russia and Ukraine blamed on each other. Water reserves are sufficient for some months, the agency concluded. Now their personnel are currently preparing to switch the only semi-operational reactor from hot shutdown to cold shutdown, a necessary step for maintenance, the IAEA said. The other reactor is to be brought into hot shutdown instead, the statement added. Keeping a reactor in that state allows the generation of steam, which is then used to process liquid radioactive waste collected in storage tanks. Ukraine's nuclear regulator had ordered a cold shutdown of all reactors. The IAEA noted the site would need an external source of steam for safe operation if all reactors were fully switched off, which the UN watchdog believes to be a safer option given the circumstances. So, I don't know. How are you going to pipe in steam with less possibility of there being an issue than if you're just producing the steam? Because it seems to me if they sever that line feeding that steam, you're going to have the same thing as if, say, they hit the building, the building where they were producing the steam. Going to have the same effect. I don't know what happens if they lose that steam. I have no idea. I don't know if that would cause a serious situation or if it just meant that they couldn't process. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. So, definitely keep that on your radar. Russia outlines rules for digital ruble. Russia charges trans activists with treason for aiding Ukraine. UN chief proposes deal to Putin, says Reuters. NATO suffering delusions of grandeur, says Lavrov. Hollywood Actors Union calls for strike. Screw off, Hollywood. You let them go on strike. You know why I say let them go on strike? Because do you realize there's not nearly the Hollywood movies like they used to be, not like the blockbuster style type of movies? Why? Because a lot of entertainment has changed. And a lot of these actors are taking up these smaller jobs, I guess they're smaller jobs, with Amazon Prime Video and with Netflix and this and that and the other thing. Because that's the way, that's the direction that we are going. A lot less people are going to the movie theaters now than what they used to be. There's a lot more people now that just would rather sit in the comfort of their own home and watch the movie. So I think for multiple reasons, the going out to the movies things has kind of lost its flavor. One of them is the expense of it. It's gotten so stupid, nasty expensive that it's not even really feasible unless it's a significant event out. You know what I'm saying? It's not somewhere I would just go on a last-minute date. Not with the cost of what it is for a couple people to go to a theater these days. Nope. You have a much better time hanging out at home and using that money to spend on whatever. I'm not saying alcohol because I'm not a drinker, but let's see. EU could loosen Russian. I actually covered that one. Russia sees a big drop in foreign currency inflows. And yeah, AI will probably replace Hollywood. I agree completely. And the crazy thing is it's probably going to be from the top to the bottom, from the frickin' script writing, the plot, to the actual imagery that we're watching. That's the crazy part of it. And the even crazier part of it is it will know exactly what it needs to hook us. Because there's something about having the access to extremely accurate data and then logically choosing from that data. See, humans got a problem with that a lot of times with the whole logically part. And a lot of emotional choices are made. And that's where mistakes are made. Let's see. Yeah, there's actually a few people chatting, Steve. Not like a lot of chatting, but let's see, where am I? There we go. Anime-loving fighters capture U.S.-made Bradley vehicle. Relations with West won't return to the way they were, says Russian FM. Oh, wow. Try refreshing then, because there's like Hexafus has been talking, Dia's been talking, of course Jen's been talking. I believe that's it in the chat, and you. So yeah, if you're not seeing them, refresh your page. Let's see. Here we go. Renowned sculptor, sculpture. It's, renowned sculpture destroyed in suspected arson attack. Let's see. Oh, yeah, just... That's funny. I didn't think about it till you said something, Exafoos. Hopefully he refreshes and sees it when he comes back in, because that is funny. Steve, what I'm doing tomorrow is it's going to be a virtual reality news broadcast. We're going to be in VR with VR headsets on. And I'm just going to do a little news broadcast, and then we're just going to kind of open up the floor for discussion and just see where it goes. We're just going to hang out. Not everybody has to be in VR. So that's a good thing. You don't have to be in VR, but it does make you have at least a microphone connected, but you don't have to use it. You can mute it, whatever, but the browser won't let you in there if it doesn't detect a microphone or a camera. So, and you don't need a camera, it just at least needs to detect a microphone. And as I said earlier, you could probably plug a microphone in, get loaded into the page, and you could probably unplug the microphone, and then be good to go. I'm thinking. I haven't tried that, but in the past I've done it with different websites and stuff, and it works. Let me get you real quick a link, Steve, if you're interested in joining us. You have, at least I know you did have, a Facebook account, and you could actually log into it with your Facebook account, because I know you've got, with registering, I'll just say with registering for sites, I know the hurdles you have, and you don't have to do that, brother. You can do it. You just log right in with your Facebook account. So, now this is going to be, at least tomorrow, I'm going to be doing it between 3 and 4 p.m., of course, Central Standard Time. So, let me get you that link. There is the link. Yep, that's it. That's the link. And like I say, you click on that, you could log in with like your Facebook account, and then that's the link right to the workroom. Now, if you get there before I'm there, which I'll try to be there a little early, but if somebody gets there before I get there, you're going to just see kind of a black screen and kind of be waiting for me. It won't actually show you the room until I show up. So, but I'll try to be there early, 15, 20 or so minutes early, just so I can get it opened up and get in there and ready. So, anywho, that's the deal with that. And I'll be putting a video out tomorrow, too, as well, with the link, so. Let's see. Okay, I already covered that. Russian state tech firm bans Apple gadgets. Moscow warns Berlin to stop stealing cars. World far off track on hunger targets, the UN warns. Western tanks burn more fiercely than Soviet ones, says Putin. That's kind of... Russia... I covered that. Biden offered Erdogan IMF support to ratify Sweden NATO bid, says Hirsch. Putin comments on future of grain deal. Ukrainian ambassador criticizes Zelensky. Covered that. Let's see. Germany reveals trend with Ukrainian refugees. Yes, sir. Between 3 and 4 Central Standard. Yep. NATO adopts new anti-Russia defense plan. Wagner does not exist, Putin tells the media. Biden mobilizes reservists. So that's something you're going to want to pay attention to. I forgot I would have brought that one up too. My apologies. Kiev bans Russian culture. And I do have a number 1 up there, so let's, yikes. Loud blast heard in Russia's atomic city, says report. So it says a suspected drone attack was carried out in Kurchatov, a home to a nuclear plant, reports say. A loud explosion was heard over the skies of Russia's city of Kurchatov, a research hub where the Kursk nuclear power plant is based. Multiple Telegram channels reported in the early hours on Friday, which it's Friday over there now. They said locals found what looked to be drone parts on the ground. According to the channel shot, windows were shattered in several houses. It added that air defenses have been activated. Photos posted on Telegram show what appears to be drone parts found in the city. The Kursk region shares a border with Ukraine. The power plant is located roughly 4 kilometers or 2.4 miles outside urban areas. So that is breaking right now. So and it's crazy. They still got that up there. I would think that this report would trump this report, but what do I know, yo? Anyway, I believe that covers it. I am gonna boogie and get some rest. And God willing, I will see hopefully a bunch of you at the VR meeting tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think. I'm excited about being the first one that does news to be doing news in that way. I think that's just like cool as hell. So I'll definitely put out the time and effort to make it happen. So alrighty, folks. right on, man. I hear you, Steve. Yeah, well, like I said yesterday, you know, a lot of people, I think, look at the VR thing right now and they're still like, I don't know. But I remember, like I said yesterday, somebody that was in high school that said that this whole personal computer thing is like stupid. Who in the hell would want a personal computer in their home? And I know that person said it because that person was me. So, yeah. Times change, and I think VR and AR, augmented reality, which is not like a full headset to where you're in virtual land, it's more like glasses to where you can access screens and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the future, and I think it's going to really speed things up. People's going to use it for, I hate to say this because I make it sound so frickin' professional, but I have no better way to say it. Or I should say no worse to say it. Let me say no worse way to say it. To improve productivity and workflow. AR glasses and VR headsets, you could absolutely, in a lot of different fields, massively increase productivity and workflow. It is incredible. It is so incredible. And when you put on VR, you do the stupidest shit. Like, let me give you an example. I do this all the time. All the frickin' time. In a few different things in VR, I've got a table sitting in front of me. Or I've got a chair next to me. Oh, yeah. I'll be flying in an airplane. and see the armrest for that seat, the co-pilot seat, which does not exist in reality, and my dumb ass will try to lean on it. It happens. So it's just kind of one of those things. It makes things very intuitive, even if it's not real. So anyway, I am going to boogie on out of here. God willing, I'll see as many of you folks tomorrow. I can hold 50 in there, so I'd love to fill it. That'd be cool. I doubt that'll happen, but it would be cool. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. I'll see some of you cats tomorrow. The other cats, hopefully I see Sunday night. And we'll go from there. So as always, God bless you. We love you. be one with your spirit, and shalom.